February Battlescroll updates for Big Wagh. Now we're talking something juicy. So game changes. So they added a clause to the Wizard Finders battalion, and that is units in that battalion now have a 5-up spell ignore. That's awesome. And they also added a battle tactic where you complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if a friendly hero with a Nullstone Adornment is contesting an objective, not controlling an objective, that was controlled by your opponent at the start of your turn. So are we going to be taking a Nullstone Adornment in Big Wagh? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no way. Because we play wizards, right? It's like we get Wagh points for having a Bone Splitter wizard. Like there's no way we're taking that. But I was already taking Wizard Finders in my previous Big Wagh lists, just because I thought I had room. I was like 14 drops, right? Because we're taking Warlord, we're taking Andorian Acolytes, and then after that, if you can fit in a Wizard Finder, fantastic. You should definitely do that. Cruel Boys is looking a little bit better though, but let's look at that. This is the changes to the battle tactics. So now, essentially what they did was they changed the two new battle tactics that they added, i.e. Sneak Up and That's Our Turf Now, and they locked them to the generals. So you can only get Sneak Up if you have a Cruel Boys general, and you can only get That's Our Turf Now if you have an Iron Jaws general. So, and that's fine. I feel like that's fair. Like I have no problem with this change whatsoever. So let's sort of take a look now at these two different potential generals and what they offer. So if you take a Cruel Boys general, it's probably going to be a Snatch Boss or a Gnashtooth. I did write a list that had a Swamp Calla Shaman as a general with Shaman of the Chilled Lands. So that is an option, right? Shaman of the Chilled Lands is a good command trait. So if you have a Cruel Boys general, you can take in Big Wagh, take Dat Ya Suckers, which is a pretty good battle tactic, really. You just have to think about what turn you're going to be dealing out a lot of damage and not getting hit back. These are things that are relatively predictable. If you're like, well, you know, it's turn 2 and I'm going to be charging in with Reinforced Brutes and I'm clearing a screen, well, you're gonna deal a whole bunch of damage to them and they're probably not going to hit you back. Like, you can predict fairly accurately when Take Dat Ya Suckers is going to be successful. So it's a good tactic to have in your roster. And then Sneak Up was already really good. Sneak Up was already a very strong battle tactic. So if you take a Cruel Boys general, there's a few different options, and you're going to bring with you two good battle tactics. So Iron Jaws general. So normally for me it's always a weird knob, but you could also take a Mega Boss on Makrusha or a Mega Boss on Foot or the like. And if you do, you get That's Our Turf Now, where you have to have 2 Iron Jaws units within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield, not wholly within, just within. So depending on how the terrain is placed, this matters quite a bit. So if you are the defender and you're setting up the terrain, leave that in mind. And if you're playing at a tournament where there is already a piece of terrain slap dab in the middle, you'll have to talk to a TO, but I've played on lots of tables where I feel like this battle tactic is just straight up impossible because of the way that the battlefield is. The terrain is placed on the table. I feel like this should almost be increased to 6 inches. It's really for Iron Jaws, right? And it can be pretty tough depending on how the terrain is set up. And you also get Squish to Puny Gits, which is where you, at the end of the turn, you've killed all the enemy's battle line. This one is a little bit tougher. So I would say That's Our Turf Now and Squish to Puny Gits, both of these tactics are harder to achieve than Take Dat Ya Suckers and Sneak Up. So from this point forward, if you have an Iron Jaws general, your battle tactics are going to be more difficult in Big Wagh. That being said, you still have a fair number of battle tactics either way that are relatively easy for you to get. You still have Wait For It Lads. Wait For It Lads is a very easy tactic to get. All you have to do is pay attention to your Wagh points, and the turn it goes off, it's basically free. And then Intimidate the Invaders is relatively easy to do too. It depends on who's in your list. If you have a Mega Boss on Foot, it can be pretty good, right? You have Ard Boys going in and all this good stuff. Magical Dominance is another good one. Sorry, I meant to say Led Into the Maelstrom. where you have your Mega Boss and your Ard Boys, and you have Gobsprak. You have like lots of heroes, and you have lots of battle line units, so it's relatively easy to get. Intimidate the Invaders is also very easy to get, depending on the plan, because if I remember correctly, Intimidate the Invaders, you have to just be wholly outside of your territory. So depending on the map, if your territory is 1/4 of the battlefield, it's very easy to get. And if it's half the battlefield, it's a little bit harder to get. But and I would say that it becomes a later game. If it's a quarter of the battlefield, you can probably get it on like turn 2, turn 3. And if it's half the battlefield, you're looking more like turn 4, turn 5. So. And then Surround and Destroy. So depending on what kind of units you have in your list, you can set this up relatively easily. So the Cruel Boys battle tactics are better. If it's like, well, okay, sneak up, take that, you suckers, wait for it, lads, and then you're only looking for 2 more. Intimidate the Invaders, Magical Dominance, Let into the Maelstrom, or Surround and Destroy. Easy game. If you take the Iron Jaws, it's going to be a little bit trickier, right? It's going to be a little bit trickier. So you have to, so no matter what you're doing, you have to decide which battle tactic you're going to go for, and you have to plan your list around what tactics you're going to be going for. So if you're going to play with an Iron Jaws General in Big Wagh from this point forward, I feel like you have to think about, you're probably going to be forced to go first. So you want to think about Magical Dominance. And you also want to think about Surround and Destroy, I think, is one you have to start thinking about a little bit more. And when we talk about list building, I'm going to make a video on Big Wagh list building. We can talk about these battle tactics and see what kind of lists lend themselves to what kind of tactics. Because it's very important. It's how you win the game, is with your tactics. You can be losing on the battlefield as long as you're scoring 5 points a turn, right? Like, that's how you do it. So, and also, don't forget grand strategy. The general that you pick is going to matter quite a bit, for 2 big reasons. One, if you're taking Wagh, sorry, this is, of course, if you're taking the Wagh grand strategy, but if you're taking the Wagh grand strategy, it used to be quite simple with a Weird Knob Shaman, where you would just teleport the Weird Knob Shaman to the other side of the table, right? So if he's not your general anymore, if you're not playing him anymore, but if you're playing him, you can always teleport like a unit of Brutes or a unit of Ard Boys or something if need be. But it was such a nice turn 5 play, just to be like, well, I just teleport my general to the other side of the table. Boom. Easy game. And when you're talking out the end of a game for grand strats, it's like, well, I have 2 turns left. So, like, and I've kind of already won, like, the table's kind of clear, so that's what I would do. I would just teleport my general to the other side. But if you're not doing that, if you have a Cruel Boys general, like, the general is going to have a lot harder time getting across the table. Gnash Tooth with Fasten's pretty good. Vulture Boss with Fasten's pretty good. Snatcher Boss with Fasten can be okay, right? But it's a little bit different. I also feel like all of the Cruel Boys generals, except for the Swamp Caller Shaman, want to get involved in combat, and so you're putting them more at risk, right? The Gnash Tooth does have a 3-up save. So you could also throw Weird in, or you could put him in a Wizard Finder battalion, right? Like, you can kind of help out that way. You could also take Egomaniac if you wanted to, and throw wounds onto Ard Boys or something. That doesn't seem fantastic. No, I think it probably has to also be Cruel Boy that you pass the wounds off to. But you kind of see what I mean. It's like, Cruel Boys have better battle tactics, but I feel like Big Wagh is going to have a better grand strategy. So again, it's all part of the plan. You have to think about how you're going to achieve your tactics and your grand strat. That's more important. Having a plan is the key. Having a plan is the key. So book changes. So we just talked about this, right? They nerfed our tactic. I think I put these slides in the wrong order. That's okay. Yeah, we'll have to be a little bit more careful with how we do that. Yeah, I definitely put these slides in the wrong order. We talked about this already. Okay, let's get into something else here. Unit changes. So the big pigs got changed. Let's look at this first. So Maw-Grunta Gougers went down 20 points. They are now 10 points cheaper than Gore-Gruntas. Hack and Crew went down 30 points, and Tusk Boss went down 30 points as well. And more importantly, Big Pigs got a change to their... Oh, I guess I didn't put it in here. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Change the last sentence of the Unstoppable Momentum ability to, at the end of the battle round, subtract 1 from the unit's momentum score to a minimum of 1. So it's not subtract 1 from at the end of every turn. Now it's subtract 1 at the end of the round. This changes the math. So that their points went down. They got this ability changed, so it changes the math. You start with 1 momentum, which means by combat on turn 2, you are effectively getting 2d3 minus 1 momentum, right? You're losing 1 at the end of turn. At the end of turn 1, you're losing 1 momentum. So you start with 1 momentum and you go down 1 momentum, which means practically, functionally, by combat on turn 2, you're going to have 2d3 momentum, which averages out to be 4. And 4 is the key threshold to where you can run and charge. So if you can run and charge in a turn, you're generating another d3 momentum. So this means that if you reach this threshold, which now on average we will be getting, you are able to run and charge and be at the top of your momentum table and have the maximum value from this unit. So and this is for all the big pigs, right? The math has changed. So it means that there's a 66% chance that you will be successfully charging after you run with any big pig. So the question is that worth it for the points? And is it reliable enough? And how are we going to be using this? Turn 1, a big pig is just going to run no matter what, right? Unless there's really a target close by, but you just kind of run him in a little circle, right? Run him out and run him back, doesn't matter. And then on turn 2, again, you have a good chance. But the math changes a little bit too, because you don't make these rolls at the same time, because you make them on 2 different turns. You know the outcome of the first roll before you make your decision on the second roll. So if your first roll is a 1 momentum, that means that on the next turn, there's a 33% chance that you're able to run and charge successfully. And if the roll is a 2, then there's a 66% chance that you are going to run and charge successfully. And if you roll a 3 on the first turn, on the first run, then it's guaranteed that you're going to be able to run and charge. So it's just options, right? On turn 1, if you're like, okay, my, Gore Grunta, whatever, it's going to run off to the side and you gain 3 momentum, you're like, cool, I'm at 4 momentum now. It means you could also run right there, right? Or you could run and charge right at that moment. But, that's probably not going to come up. But then that, you're going to go down to 3 momentum, and then on your next turn, that you're going to have at least 4 momentum. So you guarantee a run and charge. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that that on the next turn that your run and charge is activated. So 66% chance that it happens. That's good. And then if you roll a 3, it's guaranteed, so you can count on it and plan on it. That's good. This also means things like, I don't think that we'll see the Tusk Boss and the Hack and Crew in Big Wagh personally, but I think that the Gouger is worth testing out now. He's 10 points cheaper, so he can kind of fit into lists a little bit differently than just Gore Gruntas, right? So definitely worth a try. Check out my Big Wagh video on lists that I'm going to make here pretty soon, and let me know what you think. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't think that the Hack and Crew is going to be in Big Wagh. I think that the Hack and Crew's role is like really fast, turn 1, turn 2, punch, and then get into your back line. Like turn 2, it's like the math is the same, right? So turn 1 he runs off to the side, and then turn 2 he's going in and jumping over people and getting into the back line. But I don't think that that's how you play him in Big Wagh. I think in Big Wagh you play the Gouger, and he's like I'm gonna run off to the side and kill your side screens, and I'm going to take objectives from you. Like, hey, you sent 10 Hobgrots onto an objective. Cool, I'm gonna go smash them. Right, I'm gonna go smash them. Maybe get the strike last effect put on them so that I can fight elsewhere first. Right, I kind of think that that's what his role is. So we'll have to see. besides that, I mean, Ard Boys win big. Ard Boys went down 20 points. I was already playing 20 points. Or sorry, I was already playing 2 Ard Boy units in my Big Wah list. So my list went down 40 points. So Big Wah got buffed, I think, overall. Our battle tactics took a little bit of a hit, but we gained in Ard Boys. We gained Nash Tooth, might be a good general now. Like, I think just with some list building, I think he can maybe fit into lists a little bit better. We'll have to see. I mean, what else? Gordrak. No one's going to run Gordrak still. I don't think we're going to play Tusk Boss. I don't think Anvil Smash is going in the list at all. Weird Brute Rekkas, I think, are still just strictly worse than the Ragers. Yeah, Monster Killers, like they just brought that point in line with their philosophy now of having them be increments of 10 points. Like, sure, those things are all fine. I'm sure somebody will be happy with the way that their list has changed, but overall, I don't think they're overall super impactful. Ard Boys are super impactful. Big Pigs might be impactful. I definitely know that 40 points for me for Ard Boys is quite good. And Big Pigs might be worth it. We'll have to wait and see. So, look how much damage Ard Boys do. This is coming from a 200-point unit with a 3-up save. I am so happy right now. Ard Boys deal 4.67 damage against a 4-up save. Cool. If you have Stickas and they charged into you, the damage goes up a little bit and it becomes a 5.83 damage. And also importantly is that 5-up saves and 6-up saves no longer get to make their saves. So they're dealing 7 damage on average against these units. If you throw Violent Fury on them instead of their Stickas, so this is like an aggressive, I'm charging you with Stickas, the damage goes up even more. Violent Fury is a better buff than Stickas. It's effectively doubling your damage output, right? Because you're going from 1 damage to 2. The accuracy stays the same, but the damage goes up. Pretty good. If they charge you with Stickas and you have Violent Fury, your damage is going from 4.67 to 11.67. That is quite a big damage increase. So giving Violent Fury to your Stickas and then standing there and being like, come at me, bro, feels really good. Feels really good. This is also a really nice, like, retreat, rally, buff, your turn kind of play. It also helps, I mean, it doesn't really help. It helps you brace for double turns because the turn they come into you, you're going to deal more damage than... so that they have fewer models in their unit on their double turn to hit you, and you still have your Violent Fury buff on the double turn, you'll still have your Mystic Shield buff on the double turn, you won't get the Stickas buff on the double turn, and then in Big Wah, when you're sitting at +1 to hit, +1 to wound, your Stickas is giving you +1 to rend, and Violent Fury is giving +1 damage, they almost hit 20 damage. Like, late game Ard Boys are good. I was kind of considering, I mean, the Ard Boy Big Boss went down 10 points, and I think the plan of having like 2 units of Ard Boys who sort of retreat back, rally on a 5-up, like I feel like that strategy has value, right? Because like retreating with Stickas is good, retreating into a rally with an Ard Boy boss is good. Right? So it's like you just save 40 points, which means I need to find 50 points in my list to throw an Ard Boy Big Boss in there. If you have an Ard Boy Big Boss list with 2 units of Ard Boys, let me know how you're going to play it. Is it I feel like it's 2 units of Ard Boys and not a reinforced unit, but I don't know. Like, tell me what you think. Like, that package just went down 50 points, right? So you'll have to let me know what you think. But join the Discord. Thanks to my patrons. Like, subscribe. Wah.